From the Global Times, I am Mulan. Welcome to the GT podcast with Mulan, a one-stop shop for the Global Times take on top China and global news. In today's podcast, another milestone in China's manned space mission, a heavenly reunion in the China space station, and the first civilian taikonaut. Tesla CEO Elon Musk's trip to China attracted great fanfare. What does that say about China's openness and the US decoupling push? US officials talk a lot about free speech, but if one blows a whistle on US government wrongdoings, he or she could be ruined, an ex-CIA officer turned whistleblower tells GT. Bombs, hunger, specter of death. What US left behind after partially withdrawing troops from the Korean Peninsula? Finally, low box office in China for the Disney film The Little Mermaid means discrimination. It's just an attempt to drive a wedge between China and African groups. China's rapidly developing space program welcomed another milestone this week with the success of the Shenzhou 16 mission. On Tuesday, the China space station staged a heavenly reunion of 6 takonauts after the incoming Shenzhou 16 trail entered the space station, embraced by the crew members of the Shenzhou 15. The Tianhe call module was decorated with red and joyful couplets for the welcome party, and the 6 takonauts exchanged hugs and firm handshakes before posing for a group picture to mark the moment. The historic moment marked the beginning of China's second in-orbit direct handover between 2 Shenzhou crews. It also marked the first manned space mission after China's space station entered its application and development phase. Very significantly, and to the delight of many space fans both in China and abroad, the Shenzhou 16 crew included the first Chinese civilian taikonaut sent to space. Gui Haichao, a 36-year-old bespectacled payload specialist and a professor at the prestigious Beihang University, is the first ever Shenzhou taikonaut that is not from the country's taikonaut corps. The Shenzhou 16 crew will stay and work in space for about 5 months, and they are tasked to carry out in-orbit experiments of space science and application payload, execute spacewalks, install payload outside the space station cabin, and repair and maintain the space station, among other tasks. Tesla CEO Elon Musk joined a stream of foreign CEOs who are visiting China, and his trip, the first in 3 years, has attracted great fanfare on Chinese social media and lifted Tesla's stock prices back in the US. Chinese State Councilor and Foreign Minister Qin Gang met with Musk on Tuesday, stressing that China is committed to offering a market-oriented, law-based, and international business environment for foreign enterprises, including Tesla. China's development is an opportunity for the world. A healthy, stable, and constructive China-US relation is beneficial not only for China and the US, but also for the whole world, Qin told Musk, who said that Tesla objects to decoupling and is willing to further expand business in China. Other senior Chinese officials, including Minister of Industry and Information Technology Jin Zhuanglong, also met with Musk. The Tesla CEO also reportedly dined with Zheng Yuqun, chairman of top battery supplier CATL. Musk's trip was closely followed on Chinese social media platforms. Reports of Musk's private jet arriving in Beijing was widely circulated on social media, where some also launched an online poll of what Beijing delicacies netizens recommend for the Tesla CEO. Musk reportedly had a 16-course meal at the upscale Man Fu Yan restaurant. This marks Musk's 10th trip to China, and he is expected to focus on Tesla's further expansion in the Chinese market during the trip. The trip and the widespread attention it has drawn offer a reminder that U.S. businesses will not blindly follow their politicians' calls to decouple from the world's second-largest economy, experts noted. John Kiriakou is an ex-CIA officer who blew the whistle on the U.S. torturing of a detainee believed to be a high-ranking member of Al-Qaeda in 2007. In an interview with the Global Times, he was blunt about the repercussions of blowing the whistle. They take that all very seriously in that they will use all of the power and authority at their disposal to ruin you financially, personally, and professionally, he said. After he decided to just tell the truth and go public, the Bush administration FBI began investigating him before closing the investigation after 1 year. Then Barack Obama became president 3 weeks later, and they secretly reopened the case against him. They investigated him for 3 more years and then finally arrested him in 2012. The ex-CIA officer turned whistleblower has also befriended with other whistleblowers like Edward Snowden, who revealed the U.S. government's global spying program and has been forced in exile for 10 years. Kiriakou said Snowden's whistleblowing was absolutely critical, and the U.S. owes him a great debt of thanks and gratitude for what he did. However, he also acknowledged that 10 years after Snowden's whistleblowing, U.S. authorities have intensified their behavior around the world. It's been 10 years, and 10 years is a long time. But I hope that eventually they'll come to their senses and say, this is just wrong, and it has to stop, Kiriakou said. As U.S. and South Korean officials are apparently trying to further expand their security alliances that could destabilize the Korean Peninsula, it's crucial to look back at what the U.S. left behind after the Korean War ended in 1953. Bombs, hunger, specter of death, and economic destruction are what the U.S. left behind after partially withdrawing troops from Korean Peninsula, according to a Global Times in-depth article. The word hunger was regarded as a key word in the Korean Peninsula in the 1950s and 1960s. Also, the countless bombs, mortars, and live ammunition fragments left behind by the U.S. military in North Korea have continued to threaten the lives of local people for decades. The 3-year Korean War not only killed millions of people in the Korean Peninsula, but also dealt a devastating blow to the region's economy. All of these have had a significant impact on South Korea politically, economically, and socially, among other fields. Disney's live-action remake The Little Mermaid appeared to be failing to attract Chinese moviegoers. Despite Disney's efforts to promote the film, including enlisting Chinese celebrities, its pre-sales only grossed around 600,000 yuan or $85,000 on Thursday afternoon before it was scheduled to be released on Friday. However, ignoring market factors, some aggressive Western netizens have targeted Chinese audiences with their political correctness toward the African-American leading actress. A number of netizens from Western countries on Twitter have attacked Chinese audiences, alleging that poor box office numbers are due to racial discrimination. This is to impose their politically correct standards on Chinese audiences and uses to sow discord between China and African groups. The vast majority of Chinese audiences do not have any bias against a Black Little Mermaid and would rather evaluate the film based on its own merits. The primary topic of discussion in China has been about the adaptation of the traditional fairy tale. However, some American leftists are imposing their own politically correct values on Chinese audiences, expecting them to embrace the film the same way as Western audiences have. This expectation is unreasonable. Unlike Western countries' invasion of Africa, China's efforts on the continent have been peaceful, supporting African countries to resist imperialism and fight for national independence and liberation. That's all for this edition of the GT Podcast with Mulan. Make sure to follow the Global Times on Twitter and Facebook to stay tuned. You can also check out our podcast, articles, and much more on our website at globaltimes.cn. Thank you.